Jackman. Both have accumulated over 80 years, nearly a century worth, right, of education, both in secondary and tertiary institutions. So today we are going to be discussing a hot topic for both parents and teachers. What, you don't think it's a hot topic?
Hot topic?
In a hot topic?
Homework has been around so long now.
Oh, I would say fairly, yes.
Yeah, it's been around for a long time, but you know, is it that we've been using the same format for homework for over a number of years? When I went to school, I remember Friday afternoon, the teacher would put 100 problems on the board, and the whole Friday afternoon was spent copying those 100 problems. And there you come Monday without those.
Sanction.
Yes, exactly. I know at primary we have policies about homework and how much homework you should give and what homework should be and so on. And this is in the last decade or so, taking into consideration that a number of our students have lives outside of school and they're involved in so many extracurricular activities. But I'm talking about the private schools now. In secondary, it was sink or swim.
I guess in primary, why I'm bothered though, I in my day primary school, we never had homework. You did what you did at school, and
Well,
you had homework in primary school,
those were the days of slates and pencils, so where could you take the homework?
and they weren't yours.
No,
They belonged to the school.
they belong to the school, but in some cases,
Yes.
And but the emphasis in those days was not so much on homework, but that you learnt what was taught in school during a particular day.
And go ahead.
And the next day, we have a recall session.
Mm.
This is what we did yesterday. Can you remember? And you recall. So I think that took place of homework in the primary school in those days, not today.
Mm. But the thing is that children in the primary school in those days, you were not burdened, I use the word burdened on purpose, with this homework business. So you were able to spend a lot more time interacting with other children, with your environment. You know, you stream side the
You mean
road.
playing around?
No, stream side the road. You learn to make your own toys. You made your own fun, your own games, and whatever. In other words, it was maybe not seen as learning, but I believe that those children, or in those days, that children were learning an awful lot about how to live.
But let me ask you this then. If that was how your generations, right, were brought up in terms of viewing this whole thing about homework, then where did it change? Or when did it change? How did it then become this, by the time I went to school, how did it become this onerous task of writing down 200 problems and then having to go, where was that switch then? When did that take place?
Well, teaching in those days, during those days you had a very good discipline. And I think it's when the discipline started to fall, then teachers felt, well, we can't complete our work for the day, therefore you have to complete it at home.
Well, that's an interesting perspective. I never
I
thought of
hadn't
it
thought
that
of that
way.
either. I hadn't thought of that either. You may be
Well,
right.
it is. I spoke to a girl in England recently. She told me, sir, I really don't know what to endure today, but I have to go to my teacher whenever I get a chance so she can show me a few things. The kids make so much knowledge.
Well, that's true.
So she depends on her homework to help her.
I have another take on it that you just gave me, in the sense that now in those days many parents didn't even have too much of a primary education, and the unfortunate thing about homework today is that we have evolved so much that the students who do not have parents or someone to help them with their homework are at a major disadvantage.
That is
And
very
this
true.
is the problem with modern homework in primary schools.
That is very true.
And that's a very good point.
Yeah, that it is uneven.
Another thing too, our parents well, I would say or me, a great number of parents work very hard in the fields. So when they gone home, they're so tired.
But how is that different to mean that's the same argument that a number of parents will have today? I work hard at my
But
9 to 7.
remember, they weren't driving cars, you know. They had to walk long distances, right?
Yeah. Hot sun.
Yes, it's a big difference, you know.
But your point, Harold, is good though. The society was, you might say, perhaps too rigid. But one, there was an agreement among most parents that children had to have some form of external discipline. And that allowed a lot of things to happen that are very difficult to happen nowadays. There was an agreement in the society that children fitted into a certain slot, and that made for things to happen in society that are extremely difficult to do.
But you know, I would say that that is true. But what is interesting now is that if I try now to break away from homework, I have parents emailing me and writing me and asking me what happened, why there is no homework coming home, why this child coming home with nothing in their bag.
Well, you see, it's a global thing. If you live in America, homework is a must. It is expected. People travel. They have relatives abroad. They know what is taking place. So why must we be different? They want it.
Why not though?
Well, no, it's worse than that. Because if the child has homework in the primary school, they may annoy the parent to help them with the homework, but at least you can put them in a corner, they can sit somewhere and do what they have to do. That is the assumption. And you get on with what else you have to do. Now the thing is, what is interesting is that with the internet now and so much communication, maybe it is time that the parents set the homework, and the parents supervise the homework, and the parents assess the homework and take that out of teachers' hands, because
that's interesting. That's interesting. So
why should the teachers not? Why should we have so much discipline problems that the parents used to take care of before? Why should we, in addition to that, still have the burden of homework when the parents don't have to bother with discipline most of the day?
Hence the
we have to take
homework.
on their children all day long.
I have a grandchild, she's about 8 now. She does her homework on a computer. It is sent to her. She's expected to do it. And then when she goes to school the next day, the teacher knows because she has it hooked up, you see.
That's if you have the technology in the school.
Yeah.
And I was dare say that you are right. That homework, it has become burdensome for teachers in a sense, because if you are giving the homework, the expectation is that you are marking the homework. It makes no sense that you give the homework all these these different topics and writing and all this stuff is coming back in, and then you have to mark it and give feedback. That is the expectation. And there are parents who get very upset when they sit down and spend hours either working with the child to do the homework, or they themselves are doing the homework.
And the teacher look at
And
it.
the teacher then they come in and
That's
they find
true.
it crumpled up in the bottom of the bag,
That's very true.
and it's unmarked and it's untouched.
Yeah.
So, you know, is it that we take it and it truly becomes homework, in that we empower the parents to go on websites or certain workbooks and so on, and they take that into their hands if they want to? Or we have the students who lead the homework in a sense, and they're outside doing self-study. So they're outside, they're building stuff, they're playing, they're doing this, they're interacting with their friends, and then they come back and give some sort of report on that.